Hi there everyone, Ollie here, and today we're tackling the big one. This is one that I unfortunately get asked about a lot, but today we're answering, what if I don't get into med school? Now this is one of those situations that no one really likes to talk about because at some level I think people feel that it implies some sort of innate failure or an incompatibility with being a medical student and eventually a doctor. And I want to get out there immediately that, speaking personally, I don't think that anything could be further from the truth. To be honest, I think the major factor, or one of the very major factors that plays into whether you get into medical school or not, is unfortunately luck, because of the incredibly vast number of people applying every year and the fact that the UK CAT has sections like abstract reasoning on it, which few people understand well, and like with most things, it's a case of getting lucky with what comes up in that application cycle. And again, right at the beginning of this video, I have to, for the sake of honesty, preface the video with the fact that I have not faced this situation myself. So I have been through the unsatisfactory A-levels, going via the grad entry medicine route, getting my results from my degree and then applying successfully to medical school. And I did have backup plans in place in case I didn't get into Warwick, which was my last chance, because I like to approach a lot of problems through a sort of pragmatic pessimism approach where you prepare for the worst possible outcome, and then almost no matter what happens, at least you have something to fall back on. So let's tackle that case for undergraduate entry medicine programs first, the standard 5 or 6 year course. So this will apply to you if you're doing your A-levels or have gone through them and things didn't quite go according to plan. You've missed the 3 A's that you would need in order to apply to an undergraduate medical program. Or of course you did apply but weren't successful. Now in that latter case, if you have your 3A grades, whatever grades you need for the places you want to go to, there is obviously the option of taking a year out and applying again. And if you can do that, personally speaking, it's a great shot. As long as you spend your time well, the year out is going to make no difference to anything, and I'd probably encourage you to take that year out and apply in the next cycle. If you didn't make the grades at this point, I personally would not count on medicine being available in clearing because it's such an oversubscribed course, but I have to point out that there have been cases very recently where medicine did actually appear in clearing. So I'm not saying that it never happens, because it does, but I would not make it your focus. So then we get to the option of going and doing a degree first before applying for a graduate entry medicine program after you've finished. So then we hit the option obviously of going and doing a degree with the A-levels you have and then applying for the graduate entry route later on. And I do get asked all the time, which sorts of degrees are suitable, and in theory, because some medical programs like Warwick, where I am, accept students from any discipline background, you could in theory do any degree, but if I had to advise an area to go for, I'd say something in the sciences, something chemical or biological, like an obvious life sciences link. And if I had to pick the best options available from what I've observed from people in the course where I'm studying, and based on my own shortcomings and successes in the course, I'd have to recommend doing the tried and tested biomedical sciences or medical sciences or something with a medical bent in the first instance, because that's going to have the largest amount of overlap with the course content once you get onto the graduate program. And it is worth remembering as well, as I'm sure many of you know, that certain biomedical science or medical science or pharmacology programs, whatever, actually work in conjunction with feeder schemes for medical courses at the same university as well, such as offering a transfer to the very highest percentile performers in the first year or whatever. Now, if you're a little bit older, like I was when I applied, so I applied in the second year, the second summer of my undergraduate degree, and you don't get in then, what I absolutely urge you to do is do not get despondent, finish your degree. That undergraduate degree will be one of the most valuable things you have going forward, not to mention the subject of probably a pretty heavy investment of time and money on your part anyway. So now at this point, I'm just talking generally about application to graduate entry medicine courses. You can essentially just keep applying year after year, because even if you say you've been out of uni for 5 years, you've got your degree, you apply for a grad entry program and you don't get in. I mean, so what? There's nothing stopping you just keeping applying in the coming cycles. Those courses will still be running for as long as you're willing to apply for them. But if things really don't go your way, I would always recommend getting feedback wherever you can so you can identify your weaknesses and work on them. Because obviously if you don't know where you're going wrong, there is the chance that you could just keep messing up the same thing or not doing as well as you could do in the same thing over and over. So being able to identify your weaknesses and then have a strategy for working on them has to be one of the most positive things. I get asked a lot, what should I do in the interim? This is particularly from students who've applied in their second year of their undergraduate degree and now kind of aren't sure what to do with themselves. I get asked a lot, should I do a master's degree? And if so, what in? To be perfectly honest, one of the things that I was prepared to do in my year, if I didn't get into medical school the first time, was doing a master's degree. I was going to do a master's in neuroscience. However, based on my experience now, when I tell people about what I think they should do, I would get a job, get a healthcare job, because to be honest, I don't think that, assuming you're still sure you want to go into medicine, the amount of use that master's is going to be in terms of the bonuses it might get you with your application or the content of the course that it would make easier, to be honest, I don't think it would help that much, particularly since some master's courses are really expensive and it's a year of your life. So if I was in that situation, I think I would become an HCA or something like that. I would pursue healthcare work for a year. And generally, that would be my advice. If you're absolutely convinced, like I was, that medicine is the only thing you want to do and there's nothing else long term you would rather do than that, I would question the value of further study. I mean, doing an MSc, let's say, or a PhD, they would give you massive amounts of study experience, and I'm sure, you know, you'd be super smart and really well motivated to work through, which would help you in the medical program. But in terms of assuring that you actually get successfully onto the program, I don't think they're going to help you a massive amount, because otherwise grad programs would be dominated by people with PhDs, and they're just not. And to be honest, the one thing that I really hope everyone takes away from this video, no matter what level you are, what stage you're at, and the one thing that I'd really hope everyone watching this video takes away is that there is absolutely no rush. There is simply no need. And I know that in my own case, I was worried about starting as a doctor late. You know, instead of 23, which you would normally be if you'd done a 5-year course, I'd be 25. I'd be so old, 2 years behind everyone else. I'd have missed so many opportunities and stuff. And it's just not true. People can train and do train as doctors at any point in their career, and you can look at any graduate entry program and look at the spread of people and you can see it with your own eyes. And even if things don't go your way after 2 or 3 attempts, it does not say anything about your suitability for medicine or your ability to be a successful doctor. Just using myself as an example, I know based on the information that I have, roughly the second or third from the bottom UK CAT score in my entire cohort, right? And I know the person who I think has the bottom, and we've both passed our first year exams, and there were many people who did not. So all these scores, all these metrics, it doesn't make any difference to how you're going to do once you actually get here. The luck of the draw is so important when it comes to these things, so don't get disheartened. If you're convinced that it's what you want to do everything that you can to improve your application and keep going. And I know that nobody likes hearing this sort of thing, because if you get a rejection from anything, it doesn't matter what it is, you're despondent, you don't want to hear people trying to help you. And I know with 100% certainty that if I had been in the position that many of you watching this video will be in, where you've unfortunately received 4 rejections, I wouldn't have taken this advice either. I'm sure I would have been curled up in the corner of a room somewhere crying, probably. But knowing what I know now, I think it's really important that we engage in an honest and open dialogue, and based on what I've done in the past year, the application process, this is what I think. And I really believe what I'm saying in this video. The applications will always be there. If you keep going, they'll be there for you, and eventually you'll make it in. It's never the end of the world. And that's it, guys. Remember the messages that I want you to take away from this one. It's never over till it's over. Keep going, keep your chin up. And we all believe in you. And any of us that can do anything to help reach out. We'll do whatever we can, because I think we all know what it meant to us. So take care, guys. Good luck with your applications, and I will see you all in another video. Bye bye for now.